Today I'm only here for a few minutes, like maybe 30. So we're out here again. A very unkempt garden. You can see I hardly did anything. That's the spot I was pretending to clear on that day. It's a disaster, you guys, don't worry. Let me be very silent and approach this area. Tell me if you guys can hear the bees. I cannot dare to go anywhere close to being directly in their area because that is death. What do you guys recommend I do with this crazy bush over here? Look at all that overgrowth. It's disastrous, yeah? Anyway, I'm having it cleared and we're going to plant some potatoes and stuff in this whole area. The bananas need to be trimmed off. All of that is work for some guy I am going to hire. Yeah, so the little spinach are trying, but the rain spoils them. The rain spoils them. So today we're out here. I think with the back camera, maybe the sound will be better. It's not a whole lot for you guys to look at, but I just wanted to get some air and I thought I could do a quick share with you guys. So I'll tell you a story about a guy who died a few years ago in Puerto Rico, after falling from a tightrope, 75-foot high, up there. You know those guys who walk on those ropes? Yeah. So he fell and he died. And on one occasion, after being interviewed about, his love for that sport and everything, he said being on a tightrope is living. Everything else is waiting. You know, when you find that one thing that gives you the thrill of your life, he said everything else is waiting. That was his description. And you see, that's the same hobby that eventually killed him. So, my point being, he lived for the thrill of the moment. His name was Carl Walenda. So his wife had some interesting things to say about it. She said all Carl thought about for 3 months straight prior to walking across the tightrope was falling. It's the first time he'd ever thought about that, according to what she says. And you see, that's the fall that cost him his life. She went on to say that her husband personally supervised the installation of the tightrope, making absolutely certain that the guy's wires were secure on this particular fateful day. So he had always trusted his crew to do this in the past. You know, it's funny how we were given senses. Your senses tend to like never fail you. I plucked a lot of these things. Look at this little purple flower that decided to bloom there on the potatoes. It's kind of cute, yeah? These are the trees I was trying to ask you guys what they are, but I think I was too far that day. You couldn't tell. What are they? I believe they're avocados, if I'm not wrong. If it's not avocado, it's mango. One of them. This area here just went crazy on me and became very dry. They were small. They were quite young, so they died in the process. Anyway, so his wife uh, added that in this particular day, he was supervising everything himself. It's like he had some um, premonition. There's those two feelings we get. Yeah, apparently he had some feeling that was maybe telling him things are not okay. It's very interesting how we were created. So he walked the tightrope with the fear of falling in his mind on this particular day. He had that fear as he was doing it. And that's why I was sharing with you this thing that it was my morning devotion today about thinking right. So you see, like he's thinking, he was already afraid when he was going for this tightrope this particular day. Remember, this was his career. This is what he used to do for a living. But on this particular day, it backfired on him. So his thinking created his feeling of insecurity. You see, he poured all his energy into not falling. And as a result, that's exactly what happened. Have you ever said, like, you're not going to do something or you're praying, you're freaking out. All you're thinking about is this particular thing not happening, let me not drop the glasses, you're holding a tray and boof, the next thing you slide or you trip. And that's exactly what, because you've obsessed about it so much, even if you don't want it to happen, it ends up, it's like you draw it to yourself. So he poured all his energy into not falling, and that's exactly what happened to him. Many times that's what happens to us as well. We look at the Goliaths in our lives. Goliath, Goliath is a giant, yeah, whatever is a giant for you. We look at them in the same way the army of Israel looked at them, looked at their enemies. And then we focus our thoughts on not being defeated. That is all they could think of. And like this guy, that's the only thing that he was obsessed about that day, not falling. So often when we focus on the pitfalls rather than the prize, we often fall right into it. You know, like right into that pitfall that we are so obsessed with not getting into. It's very ironic, but that's what happens. So we should never let ourselves lose sight of the goal. So if like now your goal is to, like for instance with this guy, get across that tightrope to the other end, don't dwell on in between here on the falling. Because that falling now, when it becomes an obsession, that's when you lose everything. Everything just goes haywire and you'll actually fall. So I'll give you some checks which I was going over, and one of them is check your cause. You see, like in David's case, how did he kill Goliath? With a slingshot and a stone. So we guys also need to get our stones in quotes to ward off the giants in our lives, right? So the first stone is check your cause. Your cause being your purpose. Identify your purpose or your why. You know, is it worthy enough to consume your energy, effort, time, and commitment? Because it's not everything we feel like doing that we should do or is worth it, you know? Is it worth the risk you'll be taking? That's another thing worth considering. Is it worth the risk you'll be taking? There are a lot of people who have this mentality of no matter what I'm working on, I'd rather be working on something else. Everything you're doing, you're wishing you were doing another thing, you know? You're never like okay or comfortable with what is going on at that particular time. So, what we need to do is to develop a purpose great enough, strong enough to give us that commitment to make a real difference. We have to be driven from inside. We must be driven from within. There's a banana there that's about to fall. There's another one up there. Where is it? Yeah, somewhere there. Okay, so our purpose is actually what keeps us from giving up. Behind every enjoyable experience is a purpose, because purpose puts the seasoning in life and makes it tasty and exciting. And you know, once you have drive, which is also purpose, it's hard to quit. Yeah, yeah. The second stone is to count the cost. Anything worth doing is going to cost you something. So when we know our cause, our purpose, why we're doing it, then we count the cost. What is it going to cost me to tackle this problem? You see, like David, he had criticism. His friends laughed at him, his enemies mocked him, and they were asking him, I mean, you're so young, you're so inexperienced, and then what you're going with is a stone against a whole giant, you know? So, but it didn't deter him. Why do you think that is? It's because any great achievement, before it's achieved in reality, it's believed in the heart. You have to go out knowing you can do this thing before you even attempt. Before you can get the drive, you have to go out knowing it's possible. Believe it. So before our Goliath is down, we need to know, we should already have felt the applause, like we've won. We should already be feeling, I've done this thing, I've managed, I've succeeded. And again, in addition to some criticism, because you're going to be criticized, in addition to that, you can count on some loneliness too. Because you see, like when David went up that hill, he was charging up to deal with Goliath on his own. It's not like he had a lot of company, he was on his own. So, anytime you're going to do something great and something you really believe in, don't do it expecting encouragement from the beginning. Guys will come and encourage you later after you've already, moved up and on. So, I think those two stones for today will hold us, because we're having a network problem, then the power has gone. So, that's not all I went over in my devotion, but at least I wanted to just share something with you guys, because I just abruptly disappeared. By the way, we had a holiday on Sunday here in Kenya. That was Jamhuri Day, and because it was Sunday, it went to Monday, of course, right? So I had all this laziness and I was not doing anything much. But yeah, so I felt like I needed to at least come and catch up with you guys today, and yeah, show you the kind of work that I have. Look at this particular mass here. All of that needs to be cut off, the dead, this stuff here. You see these things here are what need to be plucked off. There's a guy who trims them very nicely for me, and then what is left comes out looking really beautiful. And we're going to do that some other time. Okay, guys, I will catch you guys another time. I won't say whether it's tomorrow because I'm not very sure yet, but you guys take good care of yourselves. Think about your stones. Prepare for the loneliness. Let being on your own not deter you from doing what you believe is right. Till next time, bye guys. Be safe.